This is the idea of the second parsha of Shema, that we said that you have to get sort of angry at the Yetzer Hara to utilize the Ra, that anger that you have, but utilize it against the Yetzer Hara. In the second parsha of Shema, we say, V'chora af chulud, that the anger will be of Hashem, is talking over there, Bochem. But this is Shenimshach Mi'islavus HaParsha Rishona. From that excitement of the Parsha Rishona, there comes about that anger against, why am I so far away from Hashem? That you will turn away, you'll worship other gods. Over there, we're saying that why? If you're not during davening, then you're not considered, you're not like somebody who goes against the will of Hashem and you're removing the yoke. We don't count it as that. The reason is, even while you're not serving Hashem, but you're not a perikoil, you're not somebody who is removing the yoke. Because at that point, you're not in the davening. At the time that he's davening, reading the Shema. When his heart is fired up, so it appears in his eyes, this, that he was distant from Hashem the entire day, as if he was removing the yoke, God forbid. As the pasuk says, Pen yifta levavchem, lest your heart be persuaded. What does it mean? The whole day you're not involved thinking about the unity and the oneness of Hashem. So that's as if you have removed and you're worshiping other God. You're not connected to Hashem. And that's going to be, he's going to be very angry for that. So getting angry and using the anger against the Yetzer Hara, against feeling, against the non-connection, he cools off. He cools off the anger that is in total evil, and he's not going to be bad to others at all. Which means not going to use your Ra to go to other people, be bad to them. You're going to be bad to your own self, to your own negativity, and that's what you're going to use the Ra that you have naturally inclined. That's what it says la'olam over there. It says because it's la'olam yargis, because it's always there for yourself. This is the idea of the tzira that we said before. Hashem shalach b'am tzira. So what it does is shemisaris esara, that he, first of all, it makes the Ra like somebody who can't have any children, right? Okay, it castrates the Ra. What does that mean? What does that mean? There's two things. We said that it causes to sirus, they shouldn't have children, misaris, and it also blinds them. So misaris Ra means that it cools them off. It cools off the Ra that's in him. He's misaris, meaning that he cools off that Ra. It becomes like a soris. Soris does not have any heat, and that's why he doesn't give birth. So basically, you're misaris the Ra by cooling it off, by being angry at your distance from Hashem, so you don't have any more anger in yourself at all. That's the idea of sirus. So you don't give birth, you don't angry for anything else. It's like a son. The other thing is, it is blinds the eyes. What does blinding of the eyes mean? Don't look at other people. Blinds your eyes. Don't look at other people. Not whether it's regular worldly matters or their service to Hashem. Don't look down at them. That it's with a bad eye and jealousy that comes from the bad. you're trying to say, well, the other one is not such an ovid or whatever, or looking bad. Take that away. Blind yourself. Blessing cannot rest only if something is not open from the eye, when you don't count it. That's when the bracha is. One of the titles is that it's somum minayim. V'chein bichas Hashem hi amshachas alikus, and also the blessing of Hashem, which is drawing down godliness, ein shoyreki b'ayin tova, that only rests if there is a good eye. Okay, so here we're saying that we need to bring down in Gashmis. You have the Ava to Hashem, has to come down in Gashmis. In Gashmis, we need to struggle to make sure that it does, because we're still in Gashmis. You have Taivas, you have other things, so therefore you have to utilize that anger to curb yourself. So now, with the Yuvon Inyan Hamaraglim, Shelerotzu Lekonus Eretz Canaan. So now we know that when Laglim didn't want to go into the land of Canaan, we have to make it an Eretz Moshe Sechem. He asked, because Canaan, what is Canaan? Shu Inyan, we said before, Hahashpala Lamata B'mitzvahs Maisius. The Canaan means to do, that is to lower yourself in the physical Maises. Shehem, Emuna, and Yonim, Hagashmim, Bamuna Yisbarich, Bamuna Yichud B'tachtonim. Those are physical matters, believing that Hashem's unity can come down in the levels below. Ki Amru Eretz Eicheles Yishvehi. They argued that it's a land that consumes those who sit in there. What does it mean? Pirush Yishvehi. What is the meaning of Yishvehi? That it means that those who sit there ain't toifsim. What does it mean? It consumes them. They're no metzias. They're totally bittul, because we learned before that to subjugate themselves totally to Hashem. Yeshveh means those who sit there ain't toifsim mokum la'atzmam klal. They take up no space for themselves. They're nobodies. Umevatlin atzmam liyichudi yizbarich shebetachtoinim liyis ein oid chulu. They subjugate themselves, that Hashem's unity in this lower world, that they should say ein oid. Kehoyo doir deya chulu b'shoirish nishmosom lemailo mailo. They were at level, they had a very high soul. And so one thing is, they argued that there has to be a great bittul, but they were on a very high madrega. They couldn't be mevatel themselves because of their level. Another argument, they said, there's danger over there. What is these are the nations? They are the 7 nations of the Chavim. At that time, they lived in the land of Canaan. And they come from the 7 midos of the world of chaos, the world of Toyu. That those are the root of the 7 bad midas. You have to be very careful. If you're going down in Gashmis, you're working in the land of Canaan, you're working in land, you have to be very careful. Not to fall into those midas. As we said before, over there, the feet go down dead. In other words, you're not careful, it goes down to death, to the clippers. Like the pasuk says, Shiva goyim gedolim v'atzumim, they're powerful nations. So therefore, their argument was, we can't become so bottle and we can't deal with all the dangers, with all the 7 nations, and they didn't want to go in. But the truth, he said, they're not really powerful. It's v'atzumim mimcha. They are mimcha davke. They're powerful is because you give them strength. Because you make them into the powerful, that's why they become atzumim. It's mimcha davke. Piru sha'ato megadlam. You raise them. You make them big. As Yirmiyah said, That you taught them to be for you head over you, which means what this that they are considered to be alufim, great and the big things. That is because of you. Because you consider them to be an entity, and they're great in your eyes. You make them a big deal of them. But the truth is, you have to make it small in your eyes. Because a Mamar Kolev, as all the Kolev said, their shadow has removed of them, and God is with us. You don't have to worry. Pirush Hashem itonu means Havaya nimshech itonu. Hashem is drawn down with us. Where the Mikra, the Mishnah, and the Chumash, the Mishnah, Chulu v'Chelim v'Kelim Shonim, and the various different Kelim, Canal, B'Yein Malchus we have in there. So you don't really have to worry. It's only Memcha. You're making them into a big deal. So what is the concept of sending the meraglim? This is so similar that you make the bracha on the mitzvahs. Before you do the mitzvah, you make a bracha. So before we bring down the level of Eretz Yisrael, that it's Canaan, we have first the bracha to help us with that avodah. Before we elevate the mayim nukvin, the masculine waters, the asirusa dilatato, shehu halo asadovar hagashmi, which is elevating the physical matter shabay nasis mitzvah with which the mitzvah is done. As for example, kimoya esrig the neiga, the esrig of comes from neiga. So we first need to bring down the masculine water from above, which arouses and brings above this halos man. So the meraglim are like the halos, the mayim dechurim, the hisoidus milmaila, and then that allows for the avodah of the yid. Before the Bnei Yisrael entered the land, Sholach Moshe Rabbeinu Olav Hasholem. So what does the pasuk said? He said, first of all, he said Ish Echad. He said one man, Ish Echad, Ish Echad. What does Ish Echad mean? Ish Echad Shenishmasom Nimshach B'Bchinas Echad. They come from the level of Echad, their soul. And the pasuk continues, Kulam Anoshim. They were all male. They were from the masculine water, which is the Mayim Churim. That's the masculine water to arouse the Mayim Nukvim, to bring about the Asurus Lotata. But just like by example, when you need to raise something, what are we trying to raise? Haman, which is the idea of the Mayim Nukvim. We're trying to raise it. You have to lower yourself below in order to pick it up. So if you want to pick up the man, you have to go down to pick it up. They did not have this level of humility to lower themselves below. But the truth is, if you have this humility and you subdue, if you raise that item, he ends up carrying those who carry him. So if you're bringing up the lost man to do the mitzvah will end up carrying you even higher. The stone that you weigh with it, this is level Yud Chulu, as explained over there. So this is the idea of the Mincha Nesochim, that to go down, to have that bittul, so that's the idea that you bring together with the korbanos, you bring the meal offering, you bring the flour, and you bring also the libation bride. Mincha comes from the growing. That's the flour. But Sameach is from the growing, which is water. So you have the korban. The korban is the level of ava, the level of fire. And the tzemeach, the mincha that you bring, that is water, which is the opposite of Eish. And then you have tzemeach, and then you have also the whole korban minchoscha. In addition, the korban mincha also has b'melech timnach. It comes with salt. So you have tzemeach and the doimim. You have them both. So basically, what it's saying is that love, that korban, that ave that we have, the experience of Hashem Echad Shema Yisrael v'Havto, needs to come down in the level of tefillin. Korban Krishna tefillin needs to come down. B'gashmi, something is here also. That these are all tzemeach and doimim that you bring along to bring down from that level of eish, from that level of chai, of the korban to bring down in the level of tzemeach and doimim. Likewise, the tefillin and other mitzvahs in actions, they have descended and they came down in the level of doimim. Going, like the tefillin. What is it? The tefillin has the verse of Ahavta, of Krishma, v'chein kadosh lebechor. These are all great madregas. Shuhu b'chinas chochmei lo. It's a level of chochmei lo. Nizgashim ala klav ve'ishis b'dyoy, that has become physically on the parchment and letters with ink. Sheminyan gashmim. So you took the level of chochmei lo, you took the level of Ahavta, took the level of Kaddish Li, that's Torah. You brought it down into a parchment, you put it into the tefillin. Okay, Rak. This is the same idea. But you still need to remove that ra, that mixture, that ra is in them. Quoted before. When you remove that, then it becomes a land in which he is settled. In other words, you can bring down, you can do begashvis and everything else, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's settled there, because you still need to bring down and get rid of that anger, of that ra. That Hashem becomes the melech. So Pirush. So what does it mean? Vayeshu Hashem melech le'olam. Pirush yeshiva u'meloshen ha'rodo v'hashpola. If you sit means that you bring down and you lower. Shahayeshem made the mashpilatz and mokam v'medosei le'mokam the one who sits lowers himself, comes down from where he's standing to bria dir v'tachtonim. As our sages tell us, blessed memory, that once the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, Hashem has in the world only the 4 cubits of halacha. There's no longer a Beis Hamikdash, so we have halacha. What does it say about the Beis Hamikdash? Does Hashem actually sit on the land? So again, it is Yam Lachem Aleph. Siman Ches Pasuk Perek of Zion. So that actually also hints to the idea. So basically you have to lower and bring it down. And there has to get rid of the negative possibilities, right? You have to get rid of who basic means who basic atorik mashkos rabbi parshas hey apostle shifting zikna oras or parshas shmini say parshas dal. But how do you do that? Hainu aideshim etchila. First, you have to start off with the davening. which is Noida Bashorim Bailo, that the Bailo, the husband of the Knesset Yisrael, Hashem, becomes known. A person reflects and meditates about Hashem. Through deeply and reflecting in the greatness of the blessed Ein Sof, as the depth of his thought. Each one according to their measure, as it says, as much as a person can imagine in his heart. As explained earlier in the beginning of Parashat Midbar. And that is that this settling down and this dwelling place you didn't do, you have to have the kavanah b'tfilah. So you have to first have the davening. The kavanah and davening brings down later on that the learning and everything else should come down by Gashmis. The ruach aisi ruach v'amshich ruach. The spirit brings down the spirit and draws down the spirit. Mainly, you with your davening towards Hashem, then you bring down Hashem b'tachtonim. V'ayim hashekosuf. Save the Ramaschal b'shoshik dimu. Yisrael Naseh. So over there it says B'inyan Pirush Gebere Koyach Eisei Dvorei L'Shmei B'Kol Dvorei. Explain the apostle. Lo Chen Nikro. And that's why we say Eretz Meishvei Seichem. It's a settlement that you settle like it, which means Sha'atem Yashu Noisa. You are settling it. Why do you settle it? Because it's your davening, it's your Yisoidus. Don't call them your sons. They built you. Just like the doimim and the tzameach that it is in the libations. Before he was just talking about the libations includes the wine is the tzameach. He talked about the mincha, about the soilus. He talked about the salt, about he didn't talk so much about, but it's the nesachim includes basically both the flour and the libations because they come together. So this is all the need to bring it down and bring it down begashmis adir b'tachtonim. Ba'ayim asher kosuv apostle by Yeshu Yaakov Eretz Canaan, B'chul Eretz Canaan, the apostle. Then what explains over there is Ki'inyan Eretz Mishvei Seichem, similar to Eretz Mishvei Seichem of Mavur Khan, that's explained over here, which is Sha'atem Yashun Oiso, that you settle it. Behind the Zohar B'Parshas Bahar, Daf Kufches Amar Aleph, that over there in the Parshas Bahar, Hado Diksiv Ki Savoyu B'Shov Sa'oretz Naicha Vadai, that it relaxes for sure. Ba'ayim Hashkoz of the Masla Meg Ba'Shavas. Ba'ayim Berabes B'Shalach Reish Parshas Chov Gimel. Apostle Nochem Kisach Me'oz. Be'inyan Hamoshul Augustus Yoshev Chulu Ayin Shom Be'Zeu Va'atik Yom Yosef also say Atik Yom sits all the level of sitting, bringing down Hashpola Begashmis, all the same idea. Ba'ayim Hashkoz Apostle Tibon V'Sikein Yisicha V'Sichoin V'Apostle V'Chol Banai Binyan Boinoich. Beim Besucher geben darf kaufen mal von Beis Apostel Kiseveres Odem Shabbos Boys beim Mashkos in Indien Beis und Gott der Primis mit dem Ramas weil das Kitzer. So we're talking about here is Indian Hasrofim and Beginners Yisaid Hayishaliki. That's the element of the godly fire. That's the idea that we say Srofim. Srofim are only Eish. They come from the element of Eish. But a person also has a fire to Hashem. That his the nefesh is included from the four elements. Has Maim, Ruach, and Ofer also. Uksiv, but it says when the person is struggling, Hashem makes him light. How does Hashem make him light? When he reflects and says the Shema with reflection, he says Hashem is Elokeinu, which means that it's his koyach. It's Elokeinu, Elokei ha'aretz, Elokei Elei ha'aretz, he said that. Then he comes to the level of love. This is the fire that consumes, but the fire from the love of Hashem consumes the fire for the taivas. But yet, it's not sufficient. Just to do the hafta ain't die. That's not sufficient. Later on, we got to do the mitzvahs. We got to bring it down mitzvahs. Everything, the tefillin, that's why you have to have the tefillin together with the Shema, together with the Ava, you have to have the Shema. That is the great hand, which means the hand that is mispashet, that comes down always to Gashmis. But when you're returning, that level of bringing down the Gashmis, got to be careful that you don't fall. As he said, the Meraglim didn't want to go, they were afraid. The person gets the Yitzhahara, the Yitzhahara, angry at the Yitzhahara. So when you meet Nesachim, this is also the idea of the Mincha and the Nesachim. Those are the Doimim and the Tzemech, in addition to the Chai, which is the Eish. That's the Tefillin, that's the Mitzvah. And then becomes that it's Meshvei Seichem, the land of where you're settled.
That what we read just was only two small creeks.